Salam. And
recording in progress.
Alhamdulillah, tonight we are very fortunate to have Professor Ismawi Zain from ex-Deputy Rector of Development and Planning. And we start, before I introduce him, we will start with a Fatiha. Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Prof. Ismawi Zain, and thank you very much, brothers and sisters in the Zoom. Right now we have 28 participants. Brother Samad from India, Isan Jaya from Indonesia, Makassar, Janice from Philippines, Sister Salma from Singapore, and from Nigeria, Yahya Tijani, from Said Hashim from Egypt, and Afiq Irfan from IIUM, Mukhtar from Butari from Nigeria, and Omar Moro from Ghana, and Aziz, your student, and also we have Roh Aslam, and also a director of IIIT, and myself, Muhammad Fauzan. And tonight we have this IIIT, IIDSO, IIIT International Intellectual Discourse Series online, IIDSO number 49. And Alhamdulillah, we are very fortunate to have Prof. Ismawi Zain. He's my brother, my mentor. He's my senior in IIUM. He was, if Prof. Kamal Hassan been known, the one that coined knowledge, garden knowledge and virtue, but who the more garden knowledge and virtue, the background from my pictures screen from me, the beautiful campus, and Prof. Ismawi also put his Kuala architecture buildings. I think the obvious part is the billion wood that is in the middle of the building, and he's the father. If we, Prof. Kamasan, the father of Islamization knowledge in IIUM, I can call Prof. Ismawi Zain the father of the buildings, the architecture, the colors, because he was first director of I think the first or second after, if a second is after Prof. Arifin Sohaimi, but is the first is the director at Gombak. I know for sure is at Gombak. So we have beautiful campus. I can say 50% is the hands of more than 50% from Ismawi Zain. And Prof. Ismawi is Professor Emeritus Dr. Ismawi Zain, was the lecturer in UTM, but he joined us and to help us in early days, way back 1998, 96, 98, to join IIUM campus. He graduated from UTM himself, from the Perancang Bandar, urban planning, and then he continued his masters and PhD at Edinburgh, Scotland. Without further ado, I would like to invite Prof. Ismawi Zain and to share with us tonight the topic entitled Tawhidic Approach to Sustainable Urban Planning. Tafadhal, Prof. Ismawi.
Thank you very much, Dato' Prof. Fauzan, our moderator tonight. And I must thank IIIT East and Southeast Asia for inviting me to speak tonight. Of course, I've been avoiding this for quite some time. I must confess that, Prof. Fauzan is asking me to
since last year or 2 years ago
on this series, but somehow I'm very lazy now after I have retired.
No, you are very active gardening, Yaki.
Okay, so what I'm trying to do tonight. Can we? So
yeah.
Okay. Dapat. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
can
this one.
control the slide from your side, or
Oh, I how come it's not able to control
uh,
for me?
is Brother Shazwan, is you are controlling?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. All
Wow,
right.
this is a flash.
So this is what this is what I'm going to talk about tonight. just just to put ourselves in place, I will be
We
talking
are
about
hungry,
what
Prof.
huh?
We are hungry
This
now.
is going to be the dinner, dinner tonight. Okay. So the first thing is we're going to introduce the topic with our example as in IIUM campus. And then we'll talk about the challenges of the 21st century on urban planning or on urbanization for that matter, and increase in population, the climate change, and all those sort of things. Then we'll talk about what actually we can have in terms of using this new this approach, of which I was very interested in it. I didn't know what it was called until I was in IIUM. You know, before that, previous to 1996, before I joined IIUM, I was already involved with quite a lot of studies on how to actually what do you call it, involve the premises of Islam into urban planning decision. And actually, a few years before that, I organized quite a number of seminars with that group of friends who are interested in the field. So we came up with quite a few things. And then, of course, to conclude the thing, we will try to just give some guideline on how we would move forward. All right? All right. So some of you have seen this, and probably some of you have flown over IIUM. So you see this beautiful campus right next to a beautiful reservoir, which is a lake, like a lake now. But most importantly, this area is an area which has a lot of natural element in it, and there is the longest micro range in the world, just at the back of the campus. All right, so so that's the campus. So with this thing, blue roof building, why did we actually choose to have to use the blue roof? Everybody was asking. I remember when during the construction of the campus, people were asking me why blue. Everybody else were using this reddish color or brownish color and whatever, and I was using blue. And so I told them, just look at the mountain at the back. There is this bluish mountain range of the main range of the peninsula, and we want to actually put ourselves within this environment rather than actually making a statement and saying that we are there to actually be the master of the environment, but rather to be part of the environment. So we are in a sense, we actually had the backdrop of the longest range of micro range in the world, and that should be preserved. You know, but our problem is that in Malaysia, there are too many interested parties in trying to get, you know, this type of land, especially very on the fringe of urban area, very big urban area, to be developed. And so now we are having this conflicting interests. So okay, so then I was invited, as Prof. Fauzan said. Actually, I was really invited because I didn't want to come in the beginning, but I know my shortcoming. but it's difficult because Prof. Kamal was involved. He came personally to UTM, and I had to come. All right. So so what did we do? So we decided in planning for the campus to design with nature. This is quite different from what many approach especially in Malaysia, in terms of designing a campus or designing a big place like this. But we actually decided to design with nature, meaning that we made a study of how the place is, the macro landscape, the micro landscape in the area, and the existing population, everything that is connected to the area, the social aspect of the area. And we designed the campus accordingly. We want to contribute as a university. We want to contribute positively to the area. We don't want the area to be at the end to be having problem with flood and such thing. I had this experience when I was in another university before this, where because every time it rains in Johor or in the place where we were, and the people downstream will be flooded. And not only flooded, but during the construction time, the houses will probably be denuded with mud and with such thing. So I think that this one of the things that I learned from positively from the experience, and so we actually try to develop the place in such a way that it become friendly with the people around, the existing people around, and also it actually contribute positively to the place. The problem in Malaysia, as you know, is that there's such word called what do you call it, the place, they always refer to the place of the institution of higher learning as the ivory tower. We don't want IIUM to be ivory tower. We want IIUM to be actually a place where people actually get something positive out of it, and never get something positive out of it, rather than it becomes just a nice place to look at. All right, and the neighbors do not have any direct benefit from the development in the area. But alhamdulillah, with us coming to Gombak, I think the Gombak is now developed very well, and we are actually the catalyst for that type of development that's coming to the area. Okay, and then we make ourselves in designing the place. We actually make ourselves blend ourselves into the green tapestry of the area. We actually design the campus. Though the campus is a very what do you call it? It's designed in a very what do you call it? Into a very there are a lot of hard surfaces, in the area, but we managed to actually keep the environmental connection with the surrounding areas. Of course, we do have our challenges from developers that comes later from us, but we try our best to make sure that IIUM itself is not actually what do you call it, a factor that actually put negativity into the area. Okay, and then so the other thing that we made into design is in terms of the academic core of the area. The academic core of the area is right in the middle, as core should be, but at the same time, it is actually a collection of buildings where we can get common or network between one building to another, and that it become actually one sort of building together, and we try our best to actually minimize the distinction between one faculty to another faculty, or one department to another department in terms of physical look of the area, so that you have a solid and also a sense of unity within the campus. All right, and then we also transform the river. I mean, some some other planning, you will see some other development. You will see the river will probably get what do you call it, diverted to the side of the area. But here, what we did was we keep the river as it is, and we actually use that river as actually the connection between connection of all the open spaces and plazas within the campus. But at the same time, it also connects us directly to the environment of the periphery of the campus. All right. So and then we had, of course, we are probably at one time probably were the only university in Malaysia that has a full residential policy, where we have the students residential areas on the higher ground, on the lower ground, and the girls residential areas on the higher ground. And the reason for that is because we want to keep some sort of general modesty or privacy within the area, within the campus, so that if we put the boys on the higher ground, they would be able to overlook into the girls' areas. We are also the only one that probably have the distinct complexes, sport complexes for the female and male students, and we are the only university. At one time, we were the only university that has tried to actually design ourselves according to the need of the climate, in the sense of protecting the student walking around at the campus, and then using the covered walkways. Of course, some people thought that was a very expensive thing to do, but during my time as to head the construction management, we were able to actually make it cheaper for the university, because what we did was we actually used we actually passed the cables and whatever under the roof of the covered corridors. All right, and then we actually position the mosque. This is something is very important for us. We position the mosque in the core, in the what I would call the genus loci of the place, the area, in a sense, to make sure that the mosque plays role in the urban situation, to be the place that is the center for the activities of the university. All right. So there we are, and some of the things that we did for the university, and we, of course, at the end, Prof. Kamal coined the terms that the university is the garden of knowledge and virtue, for the fact that the university is actually physically it is environmentally friendly campus. At the same time, it is also a place where the acquisition of knowledge, the search for knowledge is done. All right. So, so we did through this. I hope I have introduced to you some idea of what we were doing, so that the campus actually is a reflection of this effort, that small effort that we have to actually inculcate the idea of design with nature, design with which means we are actually in a way concerned about the existing environment and the future environment of the area. All right. So this is the IIUM that we have, the garden of knowledge and virtue, And some of the photographs that we have here, some see there the design, and we can see that we are keeping some of these natural corridors of the environment within the campus and on the fringe of the campus. And you can see how the outside of the campus being developed. They take off everything, and then they develop it again. All right. So what is sustainable development? So sustainable development is probably a systematic city planning effort targeting toward promoting long-term viability of an urban place through reducing consumption, waste, and harmful effect on people and their living environment, while enhancing the overall well-being of both people and the place. All right, that is that's what you call sustainable development. But when we add to it the element of the Tawhidic approach to it, so we actually put it as that all this effort as an act of stewardship of the God-given nature in implementation of the man's divinely assigned role as the Caliphate of Allah on earth. Okay, so so that was it. But we know that IIUM is not just the only place that needs this approach to development, because now we have a lot of problem in the world and in the country and in the world, because the way we develop the urban areas, so we have quite a number of problems. So I would say that sustainable urban development is needed even at the global scale, and they have been talking about it for years now. So let us go through what are the major global challenges in urban planning in the 21st century. Okay, so we have the first is that we have we have this rapid urbanization and globalization that's happening, and because of that, there are a lot of demand for spaces, demand for services, demand for facilities and whatever in the urban areas, and that demand also double up with the need to make money out of development. Have actually really brought some problem, quite a number of big problem to the cities, and we don't need to go in very much very far from KL to see what's happening in KL. Every time it rain, we have the what do you call it, flash flood and everything, and we have this problem. Okay, so we have a rapidly growing population, urban population. I remember in the early 70s or even late 60s, when early 70s when I joined the university. At that time, the rural population was in a majority in the country. Now we have a different situation. We have more and more people coming to the urban areas, and even with the effort that the government is making in terms of trying to keep the people in the rural areas. I remember in the early 70s when Tun Razak was the Prime Minister of Malaysia, and he tried to actually come up with the idea of what we call the urbanization of the villages, trying to keep the people in the villages. Giving facilities and whatever that they have, but still people come to the cities, and you see that in our area, in East Asia and South Asia, we have this tremendous development of people coming into the urban areas and putting a lot of what do you call it, a lot of pressure on the urban system that we have, and at the end of the day. Sometimes things just get out of hand, and there we are. You know, we have to be rather with what is happening every time some climatic cycle is coming to the place. Like, for example, we have this flood that comes in every year. And unfortunately for us now, we have flood even not only in urban areas, but also in rural areas. And there are more in rural areas now because a lot of areas are now being replanted. They are cleared up and then replanted with mono species like oil palms and things like that. And at the end of the day, the process actually harden the soil, and the soil cannot actually take the extra water that come from the rain, and so we have flood and we have problem with controlling flood. And every year, and I don't even remember how much money the government has put into flood control in the country, but we still have the problem. Okay, and we have people who are living in what I would call the areas that are like slums and squatter settlements. Kuala Lumpur used to have that problem in the early 70s. That's the time when I first came to Kuala Lumpur. But now I think Kuala Lumpur has managed somehow to reduce this problem. But we still have this problem within because of the need for housing, and also in many other places around the world. And at the same time, we have problem of people who are actually, people that lives within the shadows of the existing system. All right, and then we have the climate change that actually reduce that make our situation worse at certain times of the year, and we seem to be unable to come up with a solution for that. Even though probably there are some what I would call the novel ideas about how to actually overcome the problem, like some individual effort to actually try to live with nature, and alhamdulillah, we don't have that problem because of IIUM. I can't remember a time when we have rain in IIUM, which is at the source of the river, and that cause flood downstream. But this happened in many places, and we have cities which are now overgrown, mega cities that actually produce a lot of that use a lot of world energy and responsible for about 70% of the emission in the world. All right, and then but cities are actually places of opportunities, places where people make their money and also try to be so-called successful in life, and we have, of course, now this some sort of the population, the younger population are getting more than they used to be, because people, the better life that they have, the opportunities that they have to better sources, then suddenly we have this boom of young population, and of course the cities actually challenge people to be creative and innovative in the way they live, but still in some places we have that problem of people living below the poverty line and whatever. All right, and but we continue to live as community and overcome the problem in different ways. So what happened was that in 1995, the department or the Federal Department of Town and Country Planning in Malaysia actually thought about actually coming up with an approach to development in a way of trying to actually not only in a way of trying to get rid of the or release itself from our historical connection with the Western culture or Western ways of doing things, but also to actually try to infuse into the planning system our own what do you call it, sensitivities and concern, and also culture and things like that. So I was actually invited to head a study or to develop an approach to urban planning in Malaysia, new urban planning in Malaysia, and we came up with this approach. But you know, for the ones of a good name, and and because of the sensitivity of things, it was called total planning doctrine. And in 1997, the government Malaysia actually adopted the new guideline to urban planning in 1997 for it to actually guide the process of urban planning in the country. Actually, what happened was that in development of that doctrine or total planning doctrine, what we did was actually we tried to actually see development from a perspective that actually man is actually responsible to quite a number of things. One is that he's responsible to his creator, and being the Khalifa of Allah in this earth. And then at the same time, so he is also responsible for with his neighbors in connection is the community and his fellow man. At the same time, we were also concerned about the fact that man has the power to actually influence. Sorry, I have some problem lately. So man has some influence on the environment. So he is responsible for quite a number of things. So we look at that and we say, okay, planning should not anymore be just about technology. It's not about cars. It's not about just planning a place so that you have efficient, so that the car can drive smoothly on the road, or that people can make a lot of money from it. So we actually try to develop a way of planning, urban planning, that is responsible toward the fact that the man is actually the stewards of the earth. He's actually trying to actually become the custodian of environment. So this man here, I like reading about urban histories, especially the Islamic one. So about this famous man, I think you know him, is Ibn Khaldun. He said that a sustainable city must have the following characteristic. The first one, there should be security of the place. And then second one is that it should be safe. The third one is that there must be good health care within the cities. And hygiene. These are two different things, healthcare and hygiene. You see, our problem in Malaysia is that we give names to the place. We give several cases to it. We say, okay, this place probably is Serambi, Mecca, or whatever, but the environment is very unclean. You see? So, when in the first place, Islamic city should be a place which is clean. And clean represent not only your physical being, but also your heart. All right? Okay. Then there should be proper amenities. Amenities meaning things like, for example, the mosque, the common areas for people, and such things. All right? Accessibility is also very important. And then we have excellent infrastructure. Sorry, we have number 10 there. It came from a different presentation. Affordable housing. You see, affordable housing is something that is needed in the cities. And we must also have industries. The cities must have industry. It cannot be just a city that is dependent totally on industries that come from outside. And that's why you have some cities which are actually dependent on other cities, right? So we must also have food security. So these are the 10 things that Ibn Khaldun said about a city, right? Then so the process of Tawhidic approach to sustainable planning. Okay, so we have a city, and we have the 5 processes. One is that we have to frame the issues. What are the issues that are actually confronting the cities, confronting the community of the area, diversity of population of the community, and especially in Malaysia, this is very important. We have not only the Muslim living here, but we also have a big number of non-Muslim. And how do you actually interact between them? How do you actually plan in such a way that everybody's interest is taken care of? You know, because that's part of your responsibility. All right, and we have to understand the analysis of it. We have to understand the needs of the distinct groups and subgroups within the area, within the place. So they are, especially for us, we have this problem. Sometimes we try to think that we are only one kind of people, Malaysian, but the fact that we are so many types within the area, there are so many. We can see the flash point around because we don't understand what's going on, or we just ignore the needs of others within our community. All right, and then we need the technology and adaptation, and this is now we are in the age of the AI and all that sort of thing. So this is beyond me now, you know. But it helps us to actually try to plan what is in the future, because planning is a futuristic thing, and the more you are able to actually read the future, the better it is in terms of the planning process. All right. And then you have the master plan toward the city of unity, meaning that you actually develop the city as one rather than just pieces of things. It's not actually putting things together, but they don't work as one. They must be working as one. All right. And transportation and accessibility. We have communal support system. Communal support system is very important now. That's why in a country like us, we have, I think, alhamdulillah, we have this concern about the asnaf and all this group of people who needs support from others, you know, and try to actually make a city as a place where you can actually give them this support, the protection of the vulnerable people. All right. So you develop the scenarios where you have the inclusive urban societies within the planning, and of course, lastly, you have to before you actually decide on the plan, you actually develop scenario or impacts of each planning activities or planning decision that you make. And so that's the general aspect of the process that needs to be for planners to go through. So so you see the concern of Tawhidic planning, Tawhidic approach to planning. We have to strengthen the good qualities and values of human life within his environment. This is we have to provide for that. The city has to provide for that in terms of administration, in terms of planning. All right, and then we have one of the problem about cities is prejudices. We have to eliminate or actually and probably minimize prejudices, and we have to be concerned about the muamalah, the relationship between people socially and economically. We have to minimize the unnecessary environmental damage and destruction, and we have to look futuristic in terms of the intergeneration aspect of the growth of the cities, and we have to see where we get the intellectual resources and the concern about other species and establishing social justice. This is very important for us. I think now the government is talking about Madani. Madani is about social justice. The idea that everybody has a place in the city, everybody has his place in this metrics that of environment that we have, and so everybody this actually this small diagram here actually is part just a small reflection of what we have to understand in terms of the objective and the purpose of development or planning. All right. So let me see. So we were asked actually in the Quran we are talking about the idea of Iqra, the idea that we have to actually learn from what we see. Many people translate this as read, but I would say that we should actually try to understand what is happening by watching this, what is happening in this world, what is happening on this earth that we are living in. So so you see, by actually making observation of all the process, we can see how people are being born, matures, aging, dying, and dead, and the process that happen in between, sickness, accident, pregnancy, dementia, old age, and everything. And then knowing the inevitability that would go through the process, make it eminently necessary for us to plan. So we plan according to what is happening or what is going to happen, and because of that, we understand the natural approach of existence, of human existence of this world, and that's what I consider as our understanding, the knowledge that we have in terms of trying to develop what is needed for an urban society to actually persist and actually to develop. All right. So in terms of culturalizing the sustainability, so in Malaysian system, we have now the in terms of planning, urban planning, we have the National Physical Plan. I was involved with the studies to actually develop the National Physical Plan for the country, and we came up with areas, strategies of how to develop the different region within the countries and trying to actually minimize the disparity between one region to another region, and trying to actually develop that area so that it conform with the environment of the area and such thing. And then we have also within our system the structure plan and the local plan. And I was also involved in many of these things from Kedah into Sabah, and even the study of the rural areas of the place. So the idea is actually to develop a urban planning plan to actually make sure that we have systematic way of approaching the environment and handling our responsibility toward the developing this earth, the country. All right, and so quality of living in terms of developing the urban greens and connectors and recycling, urban rehabilitation. We have here in Kuala Lumpur what they call the River of Life project and whatever, and co-drainage. But we also have the one thing that I forgot is the idea of the central spine, where the country has decided in a physical plan to actually keep the central spine of the peninsula in a way so that we can keep the environmental aspect intake, and we actually try to keep the ecosystem, the biodiversity of the country, and whatever. So these are actually in line with what we thought as the Tawhidic approach to development. All right, and of course in the micro system we talk about sustainable business, sustainable industry, sustainable office environment, and whatever. All right, so I'm trying to concluding this thing. The built environment or the landscape or the place is just actually, if you consider it well, it's actually just a footprint of human civilization or footprint of human being, and the collection of these footprints make the cities. All right, so but we are assigned, we have been made into this Caliph Allah to actually become the custodian, the stewards of this. So we need a proper way of doing things in terms of our relationship with nature, relationship with how we actually make our living out of this nature and out of this environment and place. All right. So I think many of you have read this, but one interesting thing that I got from this guy, this man, Muhammad Iqbal, is the term Umraniyat, which is actually trying to actually make the study of Umran is about urbanization. You see, so he's talking here in this poem about how man actually try to actually change nature, God-given nature, but man defended himself, of course, and that's planning. You see, planning is when man actually defend his action on the nature and try to justify, but sometimes the justification is just justification, but we need a justification that is in line with our role as the Caliph of Allah. All right. So one of the things that actually attracted me to these studies was this small ayat. In early 80s, I was attracted to. I was actually how I put it, made interested in this approach to planning because of this small ayat. And it says this corruption has spread on land and sea as a result of what people's hands have done. so that Allah may cause them to taste the consequences of their deeds, and perhaps they might return to the right path. So Allah is so nice to us that we actually, despite the fact that we have done so many negative things on the environment, we are given the opportunity to actually make it right. And this is what I think Tawhidic approach to urban planning should be, is that we actually try to make things right, even though we have, of course, within the process of living, we have done something quite negative to the environment. But nothing is futile. We need to have hope, and that things can improve in the future. So thank you very much, and I'll take question from here. I was not supposed to be a very heavy topic, you know. I can't give you a heavy topic now.
Thank you.
All right.
It's
Yes.
not heavy for you, but it's heavier for us too. But Alhamdulillah, thank you very much, Jazakumullah khair. And tonight we heard about Umran and Iqbal, then this most important thing that what happened to this world, Allah SWT remind us, is the hand of is our hand that destroyed the climate. And now we don't call the global warming, we call it global boiling. So, and we have first question from the chat room, Brother Rashid Nasir. We are facing a severe problem of climate change. How to mitigate this problem, and why world fail to address the issue problem properly? Address this issue properly. Is only climate change harm for developing countries? This is first question for Ismawi. Otherwise, is or while waiting for you can unmute for those who are on Zoom. You can unmute or raise your hand. I can unmute you. You can.
Okay.
Or you want to answer this question first?
Yeah. Okay. All right. This question of global warming has been or climate change has been around for quite a number of years now. People are concerned about it, and we are seeing the effect of it. Of course, people are making a conclusion that the deterioration of the climate or the environment because of this climate change, and it seems that we are not actually. Many people are saying that we are not really actually ready for it, but I think as I said from that small ayat that I was talking about, that this negative thing that we had is a challenge for us. We actually need from micro level to the macro level of how to actually solve the problem. So, so one of the things that is now making the problem for us is consumption. There's too much consumption in terms of and because of that, a lot of areas are being fell and so-called developed into things, into different things that actually make the environment, the climate for the place, instead of becoming better, it worse. People come up with many sort of many things, like for example the green building and things like that, in order to actually minimize the impact of this space. But I think it's still the question is still because of the consumption. I think we are too much in terms of consuming things and consuming things that, and because of that, we are actually taking things, the environment as very low in terms of our priority. Many people are thinking about how they can make the best out of the environment by actually clearing it and getting the natural forests into logs and whatever. But then at the same time, leaving the place open for the other things. It's not that the climate has actually really changed. It's just that I think we as the people has actually made it possible for this change, or rather for the environment to deteriorate. We don't make enough effort to actually protect the environment as such, So what do we do about it? I think we need to start from very small, and IIUM is a good example of that. We start very small. We look at the campus scale, and we try to actually impress that on other people. So I was involved with quite a number of other projects other than the IIUM after that, and we try to replicate the success that we have at IIUM for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Ismawi. Others or Prof. Aslam want to ask anything? He's in charge the campus now.
Thank you, Prof. Ismawi, for wonderful, journey down history as well as your views on this Tawhidic approach. I love you had one of your slides where you said Iqra should be understood as, including observation of human beings and all what is going on around us. And I'm just trying to connect that with this idea of Tawhidic approach. So while we observe, we need to learn, and we need to take the right steps. And maybe this is where the revelation that is missing maybe in modern science and modern bodies of knowledge. Yeah, this is where
Brother Yunusa? Okay, thank you.
This is where the idea of this Tawhidic approach makes sense, because we bring revelation as a source of guidance. So in other words, we don't leave it just to human beings to interpret what they see and what they observe and then to take action, because that can also lead you to excesses. So maybe this is how I just want to see whether this is also what you have in mind, that revelation part is what is meant to keep you rooted into the correct decisions that need to be taken.
Thank you, Prof. Aslam. Before you answers, I want to add one thing on that ayat Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq. I always tell my students that during those time, Rasulullah Sallam cannot read, and no text to read. There's no text in the cave to read. So it's not ayatullah. Iqra doesn't mean to read text. But Iqra, I agree with Rasulullah and you, I think, is to read the environment. The environment, the climate change, the tsunami, the earthquake, this is ayatullah. So go ahead, Prof. Ismawi.
Yeah, I agree with you that proposal and Prof. Aslam. You see, the point is, I think when we refer to that Iqra and that monument, remember the monument we have there in the front of
we keep it in the museum, the small version.
The idea is to remind ourselves that actually we are supposed to try to understand, contemplate. I would translate the word as not as read, but rather contemplate. Contemplate on what is happening around you. It may be something which is physical, like the physical aspect of the environment, but it also can mean something which is non-physical, like the climate. So if you can see that whatever action, and this is where the Newton theories is, you see, whatever action, there is a reaction, equal reaction. The idea that whatever you do is going to have consequences. So in planning, this is something that we must be concerned about. The idea that things that we do, action that we take, policies that we adopt, can have some influence on what's going to come for us, and it affects us. It is not just affecting other people. Many people thought that by harvesting the forest, that they make themselves rich, but they don't care about the local people. But at the end of the day, it will actually come to them, because the environment it's not just or rather the climate, it's not that result from that. It's not just being what do you call it, influencing the people that is in the local area, but also the rest of the other areas. So there is this chain of reaction from activities that you are doing, and what I consider as Tawhidic is the idea that we need to actually always relate ourselves to our role as the stewards, the custodians of environment. This is a divine role that has been assigned to us, and when we make our decision, what is it that we are doing? So that's why there's no such thing as a Tawhidic planning, but it's Tawhidic approach to planning. All right. So it's the idea of how you think when you do planning. All right. Yes. There's a.
Yeah, another questions. It's long questions. From
There's a very long.
wondering about how to justify parameters of urban planning in the context of the Islamic approach and Tawhidic, this etika, maybe ethics, I mean, and what I can understand during your presentation, it seemed that those are very comprehensive. Yeah, there is no difference compared to the universal urban planning in modern era. Thank you for sharing, Prof. Can you enlighten us on how do Muslim in the past plan their cities? Was there any particular person or department in charge of planning the city? Wow.
Okay. All right. That's very good. Very good list of question. Actually, group of question. You see what when we do planning, actually, as I've shown you the process, the graphic aspect of the process. The idea is actually to try to get not only just the concern about how to improve people's life or how to improve income of people and whatever, but it's also to understand what are the results. How does that result? I mean, in the rough term, we would call it probably the what do you call it? The aspect. What do you call it? Aspect? The byproduct of the decision that you are making. You see, this in planning is very important. The idea that you try your best to actually minimize the negative aspect that come from the decision that you are making in the process, while trying to improve the livelihood of the people. Like, for example, in Malaysia now, we are trying to improve the livelihood in the rural areas. But at the same time, you are talking about how do you preserve nature, is it? So these are two very contradicting things, but you have to find a way as a planner how to actually try to transact through that system and actually come up with the way, with the policies, the strategies for it, so there are quite a number of parameters they were talking about. You see, like, for example, the question about, first is, of course, the human being, that is the population of the city. How you are going to make the city as what they call now the livable city. The idea that the place is not only a booming place for construction, but also a place where people can actually improve themselves in terms of their livability. And also at the same time, other parameters, like, for example, the idea of transportation. What type of transportation that you need in the cities? Whether because transportation is among especially the cars and whatever that we have now, among the top contributor to the urban pollution. And so what do we do? How do we change people's lifestyle? Now in Malaysia we have, I mean, in one house, one family, you probably have 3 or 4 cars. And how do you think that contribute to the environmental problem that we have? So Singapore has solved that problem. Not that we say that Singapore can be done because it's small, but because they approach it in a very systematic way. But here we have a problem of the industries which need to employ thousands of people. We don't have industry, we don't have that. But at the same time, we want environment which is free from air pollution. I think that's almost impossible. So we need to find in planning how those things can be put together, and at the end of the day, we minimize the negative aspect of the development in the area. That's, I think, what Tawhidic approach is all about. The idea of making sure that we are creating better environment. Not that just to preserve the environment, but also to we need to create a better environment for the people as they live, and the demand is getting more and more. So you are asking, can you kindly enlighten us on how do Muslims in the past plan this? Okay. Now, if you see in the Muslim in the past, I like to read this. I like to actually look at the cities that are developed in the old days, like the Andalusian cities, the cities in Andalusia. In one of the poem about Alhambra is that it said that if you have been to Alhambra, if you've seen Alhambra, the only thing that your eyes want to see is Alhambra. So meaning that's how beautiful it is. How they manage to it. So if you can see how they manage to it, Andalusia is a city where, for example, they have this urban settlement, and they depend on the water that is supplied miles away from the city, and never happened in in the history before that. So what they do is that they actually develop a way of how to manage the water. So city development in Andalusia, one of the thing, or the first thing that they do is to manage the water. And other than that, they actually try to, how they actually develop the cities into sort of garden cities. And the British talk about garden cities, Ebenezer Howard in the early 1990s, and we have our example here of British Global City in Kuala Baru. But this idea of garden cities has been developed by the Muslim in Andalusia, in some other places long time ago, where and people were asking me, why do they? Was saying that they should not be planting fruit trees by the side of the road, because they said that will create some problem in terms of maintenance and whatever. But in Andalusia, they plant oranges by the side of the road. Why? Because they are concerned about the idea that one has to actually look after the travelers. Travelers is one of them. They depend. They travel, and they probably need something to. And the American development of spread of apple was in the same way. That somebody was thinking that, well, somebody is going to travel along this route, and he probably get hungry, and at least there's some apple fruits to be eaten. That idea has been there long time ago in the Islamic cities, and so as the management of the idea of the core development, and this is what we are trying to, we have done in IIUM. The idea, the core of the city must represent the real life of the city, in the sense that that's the intellectual area of the place, and so if you see an Islamic city of the old or and the history, you see that these are things happening. And I give you the example of what Ibn Khaldun, one of the greatest urban, what do you call it, historian, about cities and urban cities, are the 10 things that we need to develop about the city. I can't give you detail of that, but I'm okay if you contact me on the details of this, right? So what else?
Thank you. There's a question from Janice Za Makapantar. He or she. In what ways does Tawhidic approach ensure a balance between economic growth and ecological preservation?
Okay. If you see what is happening in some places, sometimes the problem of the conventional planning is that we are so much into maximization of economic benefit from development. All right. What the way they arrange, the way they develop, the way they manage it, and whatever. But if you see how the Tawhidic approach is to that, is the idea that you try to develop to make the people at least reliance on themselves, trying to make ways of how to actually preserve things at the same time making them improving things in terms of income. So so you see development of rivers, for example, within that the urban environment. One would in the old days, what happened in Kuala Lumpur was that they make all the rivers, the main river in Kuala Lumpur, into monsoon drain. But after some time now, Alhamdulillah, they've changed. They have made that rivers into a place where urban ecosystem can develop, and along that line, you have it now become very attractive for economic activities, and this happened in many countries where the rivers become the economic corridor of the area. Just look at what happened in in Korea. Of course, they don't say that they are talking about Tawhidic approach, but what they are doing is actually reverting the river which they used to fill in and made into highways into a very green landscape corridor throughout the rivers, and then you have economic activities that actually attracted toward that, and making the place become very high values in terms of urban properties. So this is only one example. There are many other examples that we can do, like, for example, how to encourage people to actually connect themselves with the land, and in a very conservative way, conservative in the sense that trying to conserve what is the natural resources rather than exploiting these natural resources. I don't know whether I answered you there, but I think this is something that we do. Yes, okay, next.
Thank you very much, Prof. Ismawi. We also have Prof. Razak Sapian, the former Dean of Architecture.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Salam. Any question from Razak?
No question. It's very interesting to listen to Prof. Ismawi presentation just now. I think it's all relevant in today's situation.
Thank you.
Thank you for Rosa.
Yeah, we have one or two questions. Otherwise, we can close the session. Yes, Hajah Norashima, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Prof. It's very enlightening to listen to you, to all about the sustainable things. But if we see in the Quran, we see that the second part of the Quran, which is the parts of the Rububiyah, right? I would like to ask your insight in terms of, for instance, that we know that sustainability, for instance, in the architectures or in any developments, especially in the country, and we're focusing on the East Coast per se, that in the states of East Coast, we have a floods issue, which is when we have the flood issues, is we calls how to say about the sea level, which is a very important issues, especially in the East Coast. So when we see the developments, the management of the or the project management here. So any connections, for instance, that we can have that someone in the authority to connect with, for instance, CIDB per se, to have the very right policy to involve the connection between the rububiyah, the parts of the Quran, the second parts, because we know that the God is the most protective in terms of the himayah alam. However, when we see that many things hiccups in the lines of the project management without any authority interventions, so there is what we call white elephant or the gray areas there. So maybe from Professor Ismawi or Professor Fauzan, they can have
Okay.
insights about it.
Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
Haja Hasina. Prof. Mawi, we can answer it.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, I used to give lectures on this what I call the Islamic paradigm to development. You see, first is of course rupiah is one of it. And the other part, of course, you have the Tawhid, the rupiah, there's collapse and whatever. Now, rupiah is the idea of understanding the natural limitation. You see, what are the natural limitations of an area? So this is something that we need to understand. So when we are approaching the land, the area to develop, especially sensitive areas, we need to understand what are the natural limitation of the area, and that's why in planning they have the concept of what they call the concept about, I think it's called I forgot it now. Is the concept of how much a place can hold actually. So so if this can only be understood if you do have knowledge on the technicality of things. You see the technical aspect of the thing. So that's why knowledge is very important to us, to understand what is the rububiyah of the place or the divine limitation of the area. Now, so because of that, that goes actually in terms of the management of project, how the project is being managed, how the area being managed, for example. Now, but that is really built into this idea of the Tawhidic approach, because the idea of you understanding what is God-given limitation to the place, the divine limitation to the place. All right, but what is important is how your reaction to it. You have to develop the various scenarios of intervention, human intervention on the area, and that the best one is probably the area is how to actually incorporate this idea of limitation into your design of the place. I don't know. I think that's my answer
Thank you.
for the moment.
Thank you. We have this Tawhid Uluhiyah and Tawhid Rububiyah. Alhamdulillah, we know that Allah SWT is the creator, but also Allah is the sustainer, the Tawhid Rububiyah. And we are the Khalifatullah, should fulfill. This is the job of Abdullah and Khalifatullah. I think I can end with that notes, or otherwise, how does, or I think you can ask, I think Prof. Ismail, you can answer later. How does the Tawhidic framework address economic development? That one from Prof. Aslam can answer Tawhidic approach on Islamic. We have going to have a new topic maybe next time. Also thinking to bring the topic of Gaza, how we as Muslim Ummah have to answer the remarks from certain sectors. They want to colonize our brothers and sisters of Palestine, of our Gaza. Maybe I try to find the speakers that have background on this historical and geopolitics. Prof. Aslam, you want to say something before we close? Or Prof. Ismawi, last word?
Okay. No, I just want to thank everybody
Thank you.
for listening to my presentation. I'm not as fiery as I used to be, of course. but I'm very happy that people are taking after this, because I think
Thank you.
very very important for us. The challenge for us now definitely is the climate change, and how do we react to it so that there is this continuation. And the old days, the Muslim civilization has been able to understand this, like for example how the Ottoman actually feed the area with water and whatever through the system that they have, and I remember in early 80s when Turkey was having problem with the water supply. Somebody came up with the idea that why don't we look at the Ottoman water system, and they look at it, they revive it, and now they don't have problem of water supply. See,
Thank you.
that's a nice way of looking at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Ismawi. Prof. Aslam?
Thank you very much, Prof. Wonderful to hear you, and we look forward to more sessions in the future.
Inshallah. Well, thank you very
Inshallah,
much. Thank you, brothers and sisters from India, Nigeria, Kenya, Indonesia, Philippines, Singapore, of course, Malaysia, and I'm sorry if I miss one of the countries, but thank you very much. And we keep going for next IIDS, IIIT, Intellectual Discourse Online. And we start this from during COVID MCO 2020, but Alhamdulillah it's keep continue 5 years after this, and inshallah we're going to continue, and 14 days from now we're going to have this Ramadan, inshallah. Maybe we change the time during Ramadan, maybe before
Iftar.
iftar. Sorry, yeah, before iftar, and we will announce. We will announce. Jazakallah khair. We close with Tasbih Kafara and Surah Al-As. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka